Hi there, BookTube. It's Ros here with a poem for you for Poetry Thursday because we're in IndigAthon. So this is a poem from the collection Whereas that came out in 2017 by Layli Long Soldier, who's a Oglala Lakota author. And this collection was inspired by a wish to respond to the 2009 Congressional Apology let's give it its proper name, Congressional Apology to Native People, which was passed in 2009, but is not a well-publicised or wholehearted apology, I suppose. And the word whereas that the collection is titled, and that is used a lot in the poems, that has a very particular meaning in a congressional document, and anything that comes after that word whereas can't be used as legal grounds to sue the government. So she really uses that in this poem and in many of the poems in the book in a really interesting way. Okay. Whereas a string-bean, blue-eyed man leans back into a swig of beer, work-weary lips at the dark bottle, keeping cool in short sleeves and khakis, he enters the discussion. Whereas his wrist loose at the bottleneck, he comes across as candid. Well, at least there was an apology, that's all I can say, he offers to the circle, each of them scholarly. Whereas under starlight the fireflies wink across East Coast grass, I sit there, painful in my silence, glued to a bench in the midst of the American casual. Whereas a subtle electricity in that low purple light, I felt their eyes on my face, gauging a reaction, and someone's discomfort leaks out in a well-stated Whereas like a bird, darting from an oncoming semi, my mind races to the apology's assertion. While the establishment of permanent European settlements in North America did stir conflict with nearby Indian tribes, peaceful and mutually beneficial interactions also took place. Whereas I cross my arms and raise a curled hand to my mouth, as if thinking, as if taking it in, I allow a static quiet, then choose to stand up, excusing myself. I leave them to unease. Whereas I drive down the road replaying the get-together, how a man and his beer bottle stated their piece, and I reel at what I could have said or done better. Whereas I could have but didn't broach the subject of genocide, the absence of this term from the apology, and its rephrasing as conflict, for example. Whereas since the moment had passed, I accept what's done, and the knife of my conscience slices with bone-clean self-honesty. Whereas in a stirred conflict between settlers and an Indian that night in a circle. Whereas I struggled to confess that I didn't want to explain anything. Whereas truthfully I wished most to kick the legs of that man's chair out from under him. Whereas to watch him fall backwards, legs flailing, beer stench across his chest. Whereas I pictured it happening in cinematic slow motion, delightful. Whereas the curled hand I raised to my mouth was a sign of indecision. Whereas I could have done it, but I didn't. Whereas I can admit this also took place, yes, at least. Really good collection. I highly recommend it.